I still buy that same old cheap red wine, even though you ain't been here in a long, long time. A glass or two, and you're back in this place, sitting over there with that look on your face. I remember you laughing in the candle.
That absolute garbage trash you're listening to is something called Eddie Dalton. The song is called Cheap Red Wine. It is not a human being. It is an AI-generated piece of trash. Today's hits, yesterday's classics, and some AI slop. It's the Elias Macko Show on CJAD 800. I've made Mitch Joel laugh, which I like that. He joins us right now. Of course, Mitch with his expertise on all things tech. Mitch, am I being too harsh?
No, I don't think you're being too harsh, and it's always great to talk to you. Thanks for having me on, Elias. I think AI music isn't really the problem the more I think about it. I think it's more about an abundance problem and a taste problem.
Because I don't listen, I understand you're on your streaming platform and maybe they throw this at you, because I think this is what's happening. They're throwing this up in the mix. And, you hear it and you're like, okay, this is fine. But once you know that it's AI behind it, I wouldn't waste a second of my life purposely listening to AI generated music. That's my harsh take, but of course maybe I'm just old.
No, I think it's a speed bump. I think you're in that speed bump part because that is the cultural fulcrum point we're at now. This idea of I've heard and exposed to something and I can't believe it, but if I find out it's made by AI, I'm out. And I don't know if we haven't had other moments like this, like when special effects became so pervasive, or did we overcome that and think, well, it's so much more interesting to see it? The story you and I started this was we were on Second Breakfast with Andrew Carter.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was this artist or the song. It might have been. We'd have to check with Andrew. I'm not sure. But I was telling you the story about a friend of mine who is a very well-known artist who had been mulling out this demo in their brains for a long time. And part of it was they had a vision of it having a cello part in it. And they used one of the AI tools, Suno, to actually upload the demo, give it some types of lyrics, and then put in what they were requesting in a very simplistic way. And they were just rabbit holing now, up all night, could not believe the output, sent it to me. And what I told you on the air, I'll repeat it because it's true, is I actually thought it was their scratch track, meaning their actual vocals and guitar along with the cello. But it turns out that the song created an AI-generated voice that is like this artist. And I could not tell. My actual reaction was, man, your voice sounds really good. And they were like, that wasn't my voice. That's the AI-generated voice. Now, the minute they told me that and I listened to the track again, it was clear.
It was, yeah. Yeah. And by the way,
the fact is that I didn't know, Elias, and I'm a pretty good music guy, and I was blown away. And by the way, the cello component of it was frighteningly great.
And listen, it's happening now. It's a photo, it's a video, and even for briefly, I'll get duped and believing that something that is made by AI is real. So I get that, by the way. And by the way, using AI as a tool, like a human saying, hey, I need this cello bit. I need some help on this one. And using AI, I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
You're agreeing with me. That's what I said. Yeah. It's an abundance problem and a taste problem. It's not a music problem at scale, right? We have more content. We have cheaper production. There's lower friction to do this. We have weaker filters. We have more platform pollution than we've ever had before. It's much harder to discover great stuff, and there's way less trust. This is like content across the board. And so what we have to really think about is not whether it's AI and I'm dismissing it. It's did the person who's creating it have something that they actually wanted to express, and did that machine actually improve their ability to get to that finish?
But I worry about, 4 minutes. A song is 4 minutes, right? So you're on your streaming service, you play a song, and it's made by humans, and they get a paltry sum, but at least they get something. And I'm worried about those 4 minutes being replaced by AI generated stuff just because people can't tell the difference. I'm worried about that, Mitch.
No, and I agree. And we had that with elevator music. We've had that with other formats across the board, and they were done to circumvent paying humans to do the actual work. And so what I would get to is a place where I would say, we love music. Look, we talk about this so passionately, you and I. We love it so much. We as a society haven't placed the premium on it above and beyond going to live shows, which are ridiculously expensive.
Well, I like what you're saying there because, Muzak is a punchline, and I think AI generated slop music should also become a punchline. Now let me argue for AI because I love this next thing. Using AI for medicine. Doctors and AI teaming up, and it's better results. Tell us, Mitch, what we're finding out here.
So there's a lot of data and information that is essentially showing that AI chatbots can actually outperform doctors on certain medical reasoning tasks, especially complex diagnosis and clinical management decisions. And so you might hear this and go, wow, this is amazing, or wow, this is terrifically horrifying. Now, if you really dig into this, what you actually wind up seeing is that this is actually not at all about replacing doctors. It's really about exposing what parts of medicine are like pattern recognition, which parts have the judgment to it, and which parts are just deeply human. And so what I would say to anybody digging into this is we are about to enter and currently are in a miraculous time for healthcare. But we have to be able to now bifurcate between what a doctor does. And so I would say, like looking through this was, diagnosis is information. The care is a relationship, and the treatment has a level of trust to it. And so what we're seeing in all of this is not that AI beats doctors, that there's something around workflow and then relationships. So my hope would be, let's move doctors out of this world where they're constantly writing reports in them, having to do all this administrative stuff, and let's get them to that 2 points of care in the relationship and treatment as trust. And suddenly we might be able to not only fix a lot of the problems we have in mistakes and errors, but I think even secondarily, imagine what that might unlock in terms of our ability to actually spend time with the doctor and see a doctor.
I'm telling you, like a great doctor and a great AI together, honestly think dynamic duo, let's make it happen, and sooner than later. So there you go. Put that one on the board for AI because I don't want to poo-poo on the whole thing. Let's tackle a third thing here, Mitch. And this is something we talked about in the first hour of the show on the Big Five, and then when they're with our listeners when we open up the phone line. This story coming out, Globe and Mail had this first. TELUS using artificial intelligence to disguise the voice of customer service agents. The company says the change improves the speech and reduces accent-related friction that can occur when a customer service agent talks. I point this out. I think it makes it a lot easier to do offshoring. If you got someone overseas, they've got a heavy accent, well, you turn on a switch and now they sound like they live around the corner. What do you make of this? Ethically, is it right? If it ends in better customer service, is this a good thing? How do you view it?
Well, one is just imagine how quickly this technology is transforming from a chatbot and text-based to being a place where you can speak in real time and have it come back to you in a different dialect or different language or different translation. So the meta thing here is, wow, imagine when you could have something like that in your AirPods and when you're traveling and speaking multiple languages, how incredibly powerful live translation might be. And by the way, at the same time here in Quebec, language laws are going to get really, really interesting as all of this explodes.
Well, my God, they're going to have to ban automatic translations, this government, you just know.
Or I wear glasses, which I love, I know you love, and suddenly I can see all the translations in my eyes. So what does it matter what the actual science is? Another problem. But look, the technology is not inherently wrong. We're talking about the beauty of it here. But the undisclosed accent masking is like a real problem. And so can we use AI to reduce the friction, make this a better experience? Probably. So let's disclose that. And I would also argue that using AI in any way to disguise the human being at the other end of the line, you have to be more transparent. By the way, it ties beautifully into the first topic about music. Like if you're going to use it to create your cellos and it creates a great experience, that's awesome. But when you potentially use it and try to make people think it's a human, that's where it becomes problematic. But wow, look at the complexity of these three topics. And just think about the world we are in today.
Okay, let me you're going to love this text message that I'll wrap up with. This is from Carl, listening to our discussion, listening to me come in and say not nice things about AI created music. Here's what Carl says. I love this text. Thanks, Carl, for sending it in. Elias, I can tell you that I have loved music my entire life. I can also say I've heard some of the deepest, most beautiful music of my 56 years, and it's AI. It hits the depth of my soul. That's not trash. That's not fair. It's different. It's beautiful and perfect. It doesn't mean real artists are being taken over. It's just different. Have a little more of an open mind. Listen to the words. Let Babylon burn. Absolute perfection. And that's from Carl. I don't think I can. I just, you know what? I'm not, I'm sorry. I'd rather listen to a human.
But listen, we've talked about this. Yeah. If it's done with intent and it resonates, I don't think it's going to matter whether or not the person knew how to. By the way, we've had the greatest songwriters in the history of music not be able to sing a note, but they've matched that song with the right voice, and look at what happens. So who knows? I
just hate the thought. I'm going to punch in, give me a song about my dog that includes the state of Virginia. Boop. And then, I hate that.
Okay, so everybody can write a wedding speech written in the voice of Seinfeld. That's not the point. The point is to use that to create the speech that's going to make it land.
Give me a country song about Jerry Seinfeld. All right, Mitch, be well. Seinfeld's added a second show, by the way, on July 23rd. That's another story. Thanks, Mitch. Come back real soon.
Thanks, Elias.
And thanks, Carl, for those that wonderful text message with a counterpoint that needs to be heard as well.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio, hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll. One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all. Bryan Adams Radio. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Everybody, how are you tonight?